Hello, have you seen this picture before? Do you know what this picture is about? There was a vision, or a dream, I guess, that Daniel the prophet had. And it was a dream that was written with the context being that it was of the things he saw in the vision were the things that would come to pass in the end of days. So he probably didn't understand maybe what he was seeing, but he described it. One of the things he described was a ram. And what this ram ended up doing was fighting with this he-goat that had a notable horn between his eyes. And he ended up fighting with him and lifting him up to the sky. And then he ended up casting the stars to the ground and stamping upon them. And it strikes me kind of funny when I learned about the word that Daniel used when he wrote down that he saw a ram. So let's just look at the scripture just for a quick moment, and then I want to show you something that's kind of amazing. Because we really do know of something in our world today that does fly up to the sky, up to the stars, but it is not an animal, and it is not a ram. It would be something more like a rocket. That's the only thing that I could ever think of that would make it all the way up to the stars. But let's look at this. Daniel 8. So, in the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw, that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Okay, look, here's what, this is interesting. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will, and became great. So then, as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Now, I'm going to stop there. The goat had a notable horn between his eyes, and he was actually flying over the face of the whole world. That's something to consider. So now this is the part where it gets interesting. So let's go back to our picture really quick. I just want you to... Why would people draw this picture? Well, that's because that's what Daniel described. He described seeing these 2 animals fighting in the sky. Well, I think that there's more to this. So let's go to the Strong's Hebrew. Okay, this is the word right here. 352 in Strong's Concordance, and it's A-Y-I-L, ayil. And the definition is a ram. So that's what Daniel called it. He said it was a ram. So let's just look at some of the information here. Brown Driver Briggs, it's a noun masculine, ram as the leader of a flock. Used as food in other places, like compare ram of sacrifice, yielding wool, a lot of different places. Here it mentions Daniel's vision. Ram with 2 horns, symbolizing the kings of Media and Persia. And there's more, though, other ways that it's used in the Bible. It's also used as a noun masculine for a projecting pillar or pilaster. Wait a minute. So it's not always an animal? No, it's not always an animal. And one thing that's interesting to me is Daniel describes lifting up his eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram. So he was looking up at it as it stood before the river. So then they started fighting, and I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. Okay, so by the end of it, though, look at this in verse 10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Okay, so this is a dominion that this beast has. Look at this. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and practiced and prospered. So a projecting pillar or pilaster. Let's do this. Let's just search Google for a projecting pillar or pilaster and hit images. Okay, here, this will be a good one here to look at. Okay, see this over here? On the left here, these 4. Oops, can you guys see my mouse? Yeah, you can see my mouse. These 4 are columns or pillars. This one right here, that's a pilaster because it's built into the facade of the building. It's part of the structure. So that's a pilaster. And we can see many pictures of these. Let's look at this picture once. Actually, let's look at a little bit more information about this word ram or ayil. Okay, so it's actually used in let's see, in I think Solomon's temple right here. Pilaster or projection in wall at each side of the entrance in Solomon's temple, and also in Ezekiel's temple. So this is a word that means strength. Also, look at this. Strong's Strong's exhaustive concordance, mighty man, lintel, oak, post, ram, tree. So notice it says post, a mighty man. Is that like a giant? Lintel? You know what a lintel is? It's like a header. Let's search Google for lintel and just... It's like a header. It's a strong, straight, structural support. Let's see here. Images. See, this would be the lintel, would be a header. Here's another one right there. Something strong. Okay, so back to this. From the same as UWL, properly, strength, hence anything strong. Specifically, a chief politically, also a ram from his strength. A pilaster as a strong support, an oak or other strong tree, mighty man, lintel, oak, post, ram, tree. I would say that Daniel was using that word describing what we see in our world today like this. Very strong pillar. A great pillar. And look at this. It does have a notable horn between his eye, or on his head or whatever. And that happens to be a dragon. I think this story's in the Bible, guys. Alright. So yeah, Daniel saw a ram, but it probably wasn't an animal. I just wanted to share that. Thank you for hanging. Have a good day.